Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm super excited to dive into today's conversation with Alex Eischeid. Alex is an award-winning creative portrait photographer, mentor, and instructor. She's passionate about storytelling through self-portraiture and is devoted to helping other photographers develop their own personal and artistic voice. I think I found her on Instagram, and then I fell in love with her work, and I recently actually signed up for one of her programs that she's doing through Click and Moms, and you guys, it is fantastic. It actually got me personally out of a really tough rut that I was in, so I knew I had to reach out to her and get her on the show. So without further ado, welcome, Alex.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
I love it. So tell us who you are and what you're passionate about.
So I'm Alex Eischeid, and I am a photographer here in Norman, Oklahoma. I have my own photography business, and I've had it for about 7 years now, 8 years. And it wasn't until the pandemic that I sat down and really started reflecting on what I wanted out of my business. And teaching was something that I knew that I wanted to do eventually. And I was stuck at home. And so I figured, you know what, I'm just going to start it now, just start that journey. And it hasn't been, an immediate journey. It's been a journey. So it's taken a little while, and there are still, I still have so many goals that I want to achieve, but I just, whenever I started in photography, it was just like Google, YouTube. I was self-taught, and I didn't know of any resources really to learn. And so that's why I'm so passionate about sharing what I have learned and what works for me with other people. Just to be able to see that little light bulb go off and create a little bit of spark. It's so fulfilling. And, I still take clients, but definitely not as much as I was before. And this allows me to, tell more personal stories for myself and teach as well. So it's a win-win.
I love that. So how did you get your start with photography?
Oh,
had the baby
this time. Yeah. I had my son. I was actually, so before I had my son, I was a film major in college.
Oh,
and so I never graduated. But because I had my son and I was planning on going back to school after, he was like 1, I was like, okay, when he turns 1, I'll go back. That's when I feel comfortable. And then I accidentally started a photography business.
Same.
So I was like, why go into more debt when I can be my own boss and make my own schedule? And, it started out as a hobby, and, then other people started asking me to take their pictures and yada, yada. And
the story we all have, isn't it funny?
Know.
Like, it's just like, yep. You just start posting pictures online, and people are like, do you take a photo of my child? And you're like, yes, I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you want to pay me? Yes, I'll take your money.
Yeah, exactly. Any money is good money. Right. So really it was just a way to document my children's lives authentically, and not having to pay someone else every single time. I wanted a, nice quality picture of them. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with self-portraits, and why are they so meaningful to you?
Well, I have kind of always taken self-portraits, but I used to only take self-portraits when I was really sad. And so it was kind of a way to look at the positives in myself, and to just kind of embrace myself. Just because, I was kind of a young mom. I had my son at 23. Yeah. And so, I felt really lonely. Mm-hmm. Sorry, this is kind of dark, but I felt really lonely, like all of my friends were still in school or, going off and doing their own thing. And so I don't know. And so anyways, I never shared those self-portraits just because I was nervous about what other people would think of me. I didn't want people to think that I was like full of myself or.
Right? Isn't that the funny thing? It's like, that is the biggest fear.
Yeah, it really is. And so I always took them. But it wasn't until I decided, let's see, this was 2020. My birthday's in January. And so I decided to start 2021 and I was turning 29. And so I decided to start the year off doing a self-portrait project where I would share one self-portrait every day for 29 days. And so I had just recently made my account public. And so it was kind of a way just to let people know a little bit more about me, because at that point I was sharing a lot of images of my kids. And when I changed my account to public, I started feeling some kind of a way about sharing pictures of my kids all the time, And so I was like, well, this will be a really good challenge, just to come up with all of the different ways to, take these self-portraits and stretch my creativity, and for, people to get a better sense of who I am. And it was a really, really big challenge. But I completed it. I did one for 29, 30, and then 31. Now there are no more days in January, so I think I'm finished. But so whenever I finished that project, I was like, okay, I'm good with the self-portraits for a while. Yeah. And then like 2 or 3 days later, I was like, ooh, I have an idea, and so I just kept going with it and going with it. And so really that's like how it started, just challenging myself and, doing something outside of my comfort zone, and, just seeing like, wow, I really do love this. And I love the whole process. And it was healing, and I could get these different emotions out that, I'm not super great with words. And so just being able to tell my story without any words at all is spectacular.
I love it. I love it. Well, I love it. And I love that you shared it because, I turned 45 this year, and I've been in the public eye probably for 14 years now. Yeah. And so what it did for me was I'm confronting my aging on through my own lens. Mm-hmm. And so it was really powerful for me to just be loving myself. And I didn't know that was going to be part of the lesson. Mm-hmm. And it was really fascinating to me that I was like, okay, well, I know how to Photoshop. I know how to make myself look like a Kardashian if I want to. But I was like, how about I don't? How about I just let myself be me? Mm-hmm. And I just found it was so interesting, just the power of the self-portrait projects and how it just impacts you emotionally and mentally, and how you can just see yourself through a different lens. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
It was really neat. Really neat.
Seeing all of these different sides to you that you didn't really acknowledge. Not that you didn't know existed, but you didn't really acknowledge, you know? And like you said, you can Photoshop yourself to look all of the, to look
any way you want.
Yeah, any way you want. But, I think at some point, especially when you're working with clients and female clients, you have to practice what you preach. Yeah. With, loving yourself and self-acceptance, and just no matter what you look like stepping into the frame, because you're never going to get that time back. And so just going in with that mindset of, practicing what you preach, because I'm very big, female positivity, just loving yourself unconditionally.
Absolutely. I love it. So taking your own portraits, as I've experienced, is not easy. So do you have any tips for those that maybe haven't tried it yet? Instead of feeling overwhelmed, they feel like they might have an inkling of where to start.
Well, just start small, give yourself realistic goals, start with, one self-portrait a month. I'm going to start with one self-portrait a month. Make it, I like to call it going on little dates with yourself. So I love just dedicating that time, just me and my camera and whatever is in my head. So just make it a point to go on one date with yourself a month. And then from there, once a week. And then from there, just whenever you want. It's just like with anything else, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. If you bake once a year, chances are you're not going to be a very good baker, you know? And so it's the same with self-portraits. You know, if you only do it once a year, it's going to feel awkward and you're not going to be very confident. But the more you do it, the more it just becomes second nature, and the more that you are willing to take risks in your work and experiment and be open to failure as well. Like, it's okay if you take 20 minutes with self-portraits and you don't want to use any of them. That's okay. You are the only one that is going to see them. You can make the decision to share those or to not share them and just keep them for yourself. Just using it as therapy, you know? So just going in with, you know, little expectations and just trusting yourself.
Yeah. I love that. I think one of the biggest lessons for me that I still repeatedly have to learn is not comparing my straight out of camera to someone, their fine art piece that they have like spent hours on. I always like, I'm like, why does mine not look this good? I'm like, Lisa, you know why? Because you're comparing apples and oranges. This is ridiculous.
Everyone's
so silly.
Everyone's different. And I mean, seriously, if you see the straight out of cameras for, you know, a lot of mine, and that's like the image that I'm sharing with the retreat. I mean, it's like a 7-image composite, you know, and so like, it's totally different what it looks like in camera, but giving you the proper tools, you know, then it's limitless. You know, the possibilities are limitless with what you can achieve, and, you know, getting your thoughts and ideas out there.
Love it. So where do you find you draw your inspiration from?
Everywhere, everything. I mean, inspiration is literally everywhere. You know, I keep a note section in my phone, and I also have a couple journals that, you know, I'll sketch ideas out. But I can just be driving and hear a lyric, you know, some lyrics in a song, and then I pull over and I'm like, hold on, I have to, you know, my kids are like, what are we doing? You know, like, I have to write this down, like, before I forget. So, I mean, it's literally everywhere: music, movies, fashion, makeup, self-reflection, you know, just what am I interested in? What do I like to do? What am I good at? What am I not good at? I like to play on, you know, I like to make fun of myself a little bit in my work and just laugh at, you know, the things that I'm really not great at in life. And I think that that's super important, especially just trying to be like my most authentic self and to show other women, because like, I remember when I first, you know, started following a bunch of other photographers, and I just kept seeing, like, you know, this perfection, and, you know, their house is amazing and everyone is joyful and laughing, and, you know, it's beautiful, yes, but that's not real life. You know, life is messy, and I'm, you know, a horrible baker, and, you know, my kids are crazy. And so just embracing those things in life and just showing, like, hey, look, you know, you're not the only one. Like, we're all struggling here as well. And that's okay. So inspiration's everywhere. I think just really paying attention, you know, to like the conversations that you have, and self-reflection is a big part of finding inspiration.
I love that. I love that you mentioned about like how life is messy, because I think like we were renovating our house for about 4 or 5 years between the time my son was about 6 to 11.
Yeah.
And it was a disaster. But this was also like coincided with like the heyday of Instagram being like everything is perfect.
Yeah.
And so I actually really didn't shoot much of my family or anything in my home during that time, because I was so embarrassed and so ashamed that my house wasn't like Instagram perfect.
Yeah.
And like, I really regret not documenting more of like the ridiculousness of when our kitchen counter was literally a piece of gyprock. Or like my husband made a lamp out of like, what's it called? Cardboard.
Yeah.
because we wanted to make sure that we bought the right lamp. He literally made a star out of cardboard that hung in our front hall. Like, just ridiculous stuff. Like, why did I not document that more? And I felt so embarrassed and so ashamed that no one could know my dirty little secret that my house is under renovation, right? Like, and it's just so, like, looking back, it's like, oh, that was so stupid, right?
Oh, but it's
in the moment,
it's so normal. Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. Right?
Especially when it's just thrown in your face constantly.
Always. And you're just like, I'm not perfect. I don't look like these people. Or like, it's hard. It's hard, right? So I love that.
We were doing renovations last year, and I took a couple self-portraits in the mess. Yeah. Like we had to take all of our clothes out of our closet, and they were just piled on my bed. And I was like, how do I have so many clothes, And so I literally like crawled underneath all of the clothes and stuck my hands out. And it was just like, I'm drowning in laundry. So I was like, oh, this is a good opportunity to, take these really messy, crazy photos that have kind of been in the back of my mind, but I didn't know how to, it's tough making a huge mess on purpose.
Yeah.
And then having to clean it up all for one picture, but
I love it.
Just taking advantage of those situations and like, hey, this is it.
Yeah. So do your children like to be involved?
Oh yeah, they do. Like, it's funny, when my son was younger, he went through a period where he wanted nothing to do with it. He's 8.5 now. But it's funny, like, the older he has gotten, the more he sees the creative side of it. Like, he's my little artist. He is like crazy talented and creative, and I'm just always in awe of him. And he'll see me sketching something out, which these are like stick figures. I say sketching very loosely, but he'll see me sketching something out, and I can see, oh, what are you doing? Oh, and he starts asking me questions, and so he loves being involved, and he'll come up with his own ideas. He just came up with an idea yesterday. So we make sure to write it down, and, I try and my daughter as well. Sometimes, she wants nothing to do with it. And then I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to force you, because that's not fun for anyone.
Yeah.
But typically, if she sees her brother wants to do it, then she wants to do it. And I always try and do something that, they're interested in, or they'll have something that they'll have fun with, or bring in one like surprise element, to where they're like, to get those candid reactions from them, So yeah, they 95% of the time, they really do enjoy doing it with me, because it's just, those are memories. And and I'm teaching my son I'm teaching him photography right now.
I love that.
So it's been a really fun way for us to bond and to, work on ideas and stuff together. And like, while we're shooting, if he has an idea, or she has an idea, then I'll try and like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And most of the time, like, their ideas are way better than mine, because they're kids and they have like no inhibitions.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and they come up with some crazy stuff.
I know. Like, one of my favorite pictures is my son throwing flour at my face. We're in the kitchen baking together, and I was trying to surprise him with like having a bunch of flour in the KitchenAid, and then I was going to have it like mix around and go everywhere, and it wasn't working. And he was like, can I throw flour at your face? I was like, yes, you can. Actually, I was like, this is going to be a huge mess, but like, when else are we going to get to do this, And he still talks about it. And it was like 2 years ago, and so, it's fun. I try and make it fun for them.
I love it. My son, he's 13, almost 14, and he plays video games like Fortnite and all the things, right? So he wanted to get a new battle pass or some V-Bucks or something, and he likes to bribe me. He's like, Mom, let me level with you. I'm going to level with you. So if you get me 5,000 V-Bucks, I'm going to do some shoots with you.
Honestly, not above it.
Right. I will take the bribe.
When I don't call them bribes. I call that, paid child labor. Yes.
It's a model.
I wouldn't
Right?
want to work for free.
No.
So, you're teaching them
Totally.
business and, not to sell themselves short.
I love it. I love it. Now, I think one of the things that we really get in our own heads about is taking ourselves too seriously. And to be honest, this is probably one of the things that it stops me from creating because I really do take myself too seriously and I forget to just play. So, do you have any advice of maybe for our listeners who maybe are in the same boat where they're just like, they want to do these self-portraits, but they're like, they stop themselves?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of suffer from Peter Pan syndrome. So like I never want to grow up. It's like the opposite for me. I'm like, embrace your child, like your inner child and I just, that's tough. That is really tough. I think just again, going with the flow and letting things happen, especially if you are working with kids or like I love dressing up in my self-portraits.
I love dressing up.
Dressing up, like being someone different for a little while, or you have that dress in the back of your closet that you've worn once and you're like, what else am I going to wear that to? Let me think of something that I can photograph myself with. And so just being open to play, like I said, they're self-portraits, no one has to see them. So if you think you end up looking like a dingus, then, you don't have to share them if you don't want to, or just share them anyways. Like, I mean, there are so many images that I'm like, wow, oh gosh, why? But I share them anyways because I don't know. I feel like we have this, especially women, we have this idea of perfection constantly shoved in our face. Yeah. And so just seeing like, oh, okay, she did it. I think I can do it too, so maybe just inspiring another woman to step in front of their camera. Totally. So, I mean, turn on some music, dance around, flip your hair around, just, twirl around and have fun with it. Just play, Yeah.
In our yard, we have this amazing apple tree that blossoms every May. And so in the pandemic, it blossomed. And normally, like I take my clients to this tree. I love it. I shoot at it every year. And so during the pandemic time, it blossomed and I didn't have anyone to shoot. So I was like, I'm going to do self-portraits. Yeah. You should have seen my neighbors laughing so hard at me twirling around in this reclamation dress.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. I had so much fun though. And I was like, you know what? I'm choosing not to care what other people think at this moment, even though right now it's killing me because I'm such an introvert.
Yeah.
But like, do it.
But the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and you're just like, okay, whatever. Like, like my neighbors probably think I'm like the town crazy lady. But oh well, like our neighbor,
or they can think I'm brave, right? Who knows? I don't know. It's not my business to know what they think. Right?
They're gonna think about you for like 5 seconds and then on to the next. Like they're not going. It was what was it? Last year, 2 years ago. Our neighbors were getting ready to leave and I was gardening in our garden, but of course taking self-portraits at the same time. And, I'm in this outfit that I would never actually garden in, this long flowy white dress and clogs and big rice hat. And my neighbor was showing the house to a potential buyer, and I'm like, oh, hey. Don't you want to move in here? This is what you'll get to see every day. So he got a kick out of that. I was like, whatever,
Hilarious. I love it. I think a lot of the times too, I think that like there are like the biggest obstacle to self-portrait truly is our minds. And it's like the ones that you're too old, you're this, you're that, or you're vain. I think like that's the one that really is like we have this programming where we really don't want people to think we're vain or it's a vanity thing, which is so silly because I don't think I've ever thought that about someone else when I've seen self-portraits. Yeah. So it's just so strange that we think that about ourselves that, like, how do we get over that?
I know that's, and that's something that I constantly kind of, I don't want to say I constantly struggle with, but it's
Yeah.
something that's, you know, constantly in the back of my mind,
Yeah.
you know, just, you know, cause I have, especially from, you know, friends and
Yeah.
family, like, why do you, you know, just the questions. And it's like, well, this is my outlet. This is how this is my therapy, you know, rather than paying $300 an hour for therapy.
Totally. Right. I'm my own therapist.
I'm my own therapist.
I'm just paying off my camera.
Exactly. So I am doing myself a favor, my family a favor. So yeah, I mean, it's something, you know, that, and I, you know, I definitely go through like down and dark times, and I'm like, I don't even want to see myself, you know. And I think that that's okay to go through. You know, life is ebbs and flows always, you know. And so when I'm talking to other people that are going through that, and they still want to take self-portraits, you know, take a faceless self-portrait, use shadows, use, you know, things,
or motion blur,
motion blur,
like,
exactly. You, the back of your head, like, you don't have to really show yourself or be fully present for it to be a self-portrait, you know, like, and I love hands. And so I use my hands a lot in self-portrait. I mean, that's a self-portrait, even if you only see my hands popping in, or, you know, like, there are lots of different ways to get around it and to be able to successfully still tell a story.
Yeah, I love that. I think also styling and like maybe even developing your style, not only with how you're styling your sessions and even like just how you're styling your work. So can you maybe share how you sort of have evolved and developed your sense of style and how that's really translated into your work?
I kind of feel like, you know, I always tell students to never let anyone put you in a box. So I do feel like I have, you know, a particular style to my work, but I don't want to be conformed to that one thing, you know. But, you know, definitely with certain projects, I have like a, you know, certain aesthetic, and a big part of that is fashion. I'm very, very influenced by fashion. And just a lot of times I'll start with, you know, the dress that I want to wear, and then style an entire scene around that. Or, you know, like I did an entire set built upon a copper tone sunscreen bottle. So that's like, you know, pink and blue. Okay, well, how can we style this in this particular color scheme? What is the color scheme that I want to go with? And I just, again, it all boils down to like fashion. And as corny as that sounds, I think that a lot of it has come down to that. And I love bold colors. I love color so much.
You can really tell in your work.
I love color. I love contrast. And so just letting those, not being afraid of color. And, you know, of course, everyone has their own style, but I've just always been drawn to like bold, you know, and, I'm not quite sure. I don't know how like I developed, you know,
it just kind of happens, hey?
Yeah, like, I think, you know, one picture and you really like it, and then you're like, oh, I really like
replicate
that.
Replicate it.
Okay. And then how can I keep this going, and what can I add? Like, I wear a lot of like retro vintage inspired dresses in a lot of my images.
Yeah, you do.
And, you know, people have asked me like, did you dress like that? Like in real life? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like, I'm chasing my dog down the street. That is not, you know, there's no way I could rock as much as I would love to.
Yeah.
But I love like that style and kind of applying it to modern day. And it really kind of comes full circle with like this idea of I keep saying perfection, but like this idea of perfection, which, you know, in those, like, you know, the mid-century, that was like the thing, like
right.
Moms are the caretakers and the housekeepers and the bakers and, you know, everything. And that's not realistic and it's not attainable. So kind of taking that style, but applying it to modern times. I have found that I just really, really like that. I don't know why, but I just love it.
Well, it's so funny because like there's certain things that I'm drawn to. Like I love like fine art, or I love specifically the time period between like 1870 and 1910.
Yeah.
And like I just want to wear costumes that are Victorian.
Yeah,
totally.
And
I'm like, why am I so weird? Like,
oh no. Oh no. There's not far from us. It's like it's in Guthrie, Oklahoma. It's like one of the like antique capitals of the country. And they do a Victorian Christmas walk every year. Oh, I know. It's amazing. Yes. So like my son, he'll go with me. He's like, can we go to Guthrie today? So we'll just go antiquing together. Like I love, it's just so fun being brought to a different time. And,
right.
You know, obviously like not socially, but
just creating magic with your mind and like putting yourself in there. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So are you ready for our lightning round?
Yes. Okay.
Oceans or mountains, and why?
Oh, oceans. Well, I love mountain. I would say mountain. Well, I'm a warm weathered girl.
Yeah,
for sure. So mountains if it's summer, but I am a warm weather girl through and through. I'll say oceans.
I love it. Most luxurious vacation you've ever been on?
I haven't ever really been on like a super luxurious vacation, but I will say like the best vacation was when my husband and I got married. We eloped, and so it was just us two, and we just did everything that we wanted to do, and it was amazing. We went to Cabo. That's like our special place, and so we went golfing in the morning and got married, and then went fishing the next day. And ate really great food. And so, that was probably the best.
I love that. Favorite TV show as a kid?
Saturday Night Live.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
So good. And it was like really inappropriate for me to watch as like a 5-year-old little girl, but it really did like shape who I am and, how I view life. But Saturday Night Live, totally.
So good. What 3 things do you want to be remembered for?
Authenticity, love, and compassion.
Ooh, good answers. Favorite guilty or not so guilty pleasure?
Oh man, Real Housewives is such a guilty pleasure. It's so trashy and ridiculous, but I can't get enough.
Oh my God. I just finished watching was Love is Blind. Have you watched that?
No,
on Netflix?
I haven't. No.
Oh, it is terrible.
Awful.
And I love it so much. And I actually just started watching Vanderpump Rules.
Okay, so I have not gotten into it, but there's like a lot of drama surrounding it.
So much drama.
All the drama. And so I'm like, maybe I should start it.
I know, that's what I thought. I was like, I don't know anything about this, so I need to find out now.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like I know all of the drama, just from reading like backstories and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I need to figure all this out myself. And they're good editing shows too.
Right?
Yeah,
totally. Just something in the background.
Yeah.
Favorite comfort food?
Pork tamales with homemade salsa.
Oh, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you feel most centered and happy?
In my home with my family. Yeah.
Love it. What did you want to be when you grew up as a kid?
Oh, on Saturday Night Live. I wanted to be I wanted to be an actress, and I'm a terrible actress though. So then that's when I went to the opposite side and studied film, and now, I am my own actress now in front of my own camera.
Exactly. Well, I always wanted to have my own show. So I do.
You do. You did it. See, we're making it ourselves.
I love it. What has been the best piece of business advice you've ever been given?
Oh, best piece of business advice, probably just being true to yourself.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
just don't, why be like everyone
Yeah.
else? Yeah, that's,
Love it.
yeah.
Do you have any personal projects going on right now?
Oh gosh, yeah, too many, too many.
Same.
I have a lot of personal projects, but I have two favorites. One is idioms as images, and that one it's where I take figures of speech and create literal photographs for them.
So
So
cool.
yeah, so idioms as images, and then my mothering mishaps, which it's again just kind of like my ventures through motherhood and
Oh gosh.
all the sticky
Seriously.
situations that I find myself in, or
I love it.
and a
Please,
lot of them are like very exaggerated,
yes,
but
please do a running out of gas one because that's me.
oh my gosh, literally last week. Oh, that's a really great idea because this happened to me last week. I was picking my son up from school and I knew that I needed gas and it said 18 miles until empty. And so I was like, okay, I'll get gas after I pick Ben up. So I'm sitting in the line and I look up and it says 1 mile to empty. Just out of, I was like,
Oh
I thought I was going to puke. I
no.
was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, And so
Yeah.
I'm literally just like foot off the gas, like coasting. Yeah.
fumes.
I was like, if I am that mom that breaks down the pickup line holding everyone else up, I will never live this down.
Seriously.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 That's
And
a really great idea.
burning dinner also is like a
Yeah.
superpower of mine. Like
Mhm.
I'm very good at forgetting that and like
That's
going and like somehow I'm on Expedia and I forgot I was cooking.
well, you're doing 17 different things at once. That's the first, I think it was the first image that started that series was me burning muffins.
Yeah.
And then I have another idea with the smoke alarm and,
I love
you
it.
got the broom trying to turn it off.
Seriously.
I need
I
to
love
shoot
it.
that one.
I
I
love
feel
it.
ya.
I love it. So inspiring. I love it. So where could our listeners learn more from you?
Well, I'm always on Instagram. I'm on Instagram way too much at Alex Eischeid. And then I have my website, alexeischeid.com, Facebook. I am a mentor through Click Community. So I also have a couple courses on Click Photo School. So, just all over the place.
I love it. And you're actually going to be a teacher upcoming for the online family retreat.
I'm so excited. I have everything finished. I need to export it and send it your way. I'm excited.
So can you share what you're teaching on?
Yeah, so I am teaching on the unrealistic expectations of motherhood and the power of personal projects. So kind of like, everything that we've been talking about. And it's funny, I had a very specific idea and I shot the behind the scenes and I did it. And then the next day I had a different idea and I was like, nope, I'm going to do this one. This one feels like it's just a little bit more authentic. And I feel like it's something that a lot of women can relate to. So yeah, I filmed something completely different and did a completely different concept.
I love it.
So so lots of self-reflection and you'll get to go behind the scenes and see how I actually shoot my self-portraits. It's just right here in my studio, aka my living room. Very fancy. And then editing, they're going to learn a lot of editing because that's where the magic really happens. So lots of Lightroom hacks or tips, tricks, Photoshop, lots of Photoshop. So I'm very, very excited.
Awesome. Well, we're so lucky to have you. So
thank you.
Cannot wait. So I love to end my interviews just with this last question. And it is, what are you currently curious about or artistically curious about?
Oh man, lighting. I am very, very into lighting right now. It's kind of a problem. Just exploring that. And, I utilize natural light a lot. But off-camera flash is just chef's kiss, you know, and just being able to create light anywhere and at any time. And so I go over lighting in my behind the scenes, and you know, just it's fascinating, and it's a lot of experimenting and, you know, just figuring it out as I go. But yeah, that's what I'm super into right now.
I love it. Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my beautiful friends, I hope you enjoyed this conversation just as much as I did. I am sending you so much of my light and my love today and every single day. We will see you next time.